The cost of bigotry is the 12th video in the series, Why South Africa is Getting Poorer. There's a sickness that has crept into the bones of our nation. It is not new, it has simply changed clothes. It no longer marches in the streets with placards of hatred. It hides behind boardroom doors, church walls, WhatsApp groups and dinner tables. It speaks in whispers, in jokes, in hiring decisions, and in who we choose to sit next to. It's not just prejudice, it's bigotry. And though it pretends to be harmless, it has cost South Africa more than we dare to admit. We often think of bigotry as a social problem, a moral flaw, but in truth, it is an economic crisis disguised as an attitude, because every time we discriminate, exclude, or diminish another South African, we strangle the very engine that should be driving our prosperity. We waste potential, we shrink our market, we kill innovation, we rob the country of its own future. You see, bigotry in itself is not the greatest evil. It is, rather, a symptom, a manifestation of insecurity, a mirror reflecting our inner fractures. It is in many ways the behavior surrounding it that poisons the well, because to hate or exclude another human being requires effort, the constant effort of insecurity. It's the behavior of one who feels inferior, who must create an illusion of superiority to feel whole. It's the product of low self-esteem disguised as pride, of mental colonization dressed as tradition, of fear disguised as values. Our economy suffers not because we lack brilliance, but because we do not believe in each other's brilliance. We have black entrepreneurs locked out of funding because some lender still clings to stereotypes born in the 1980s. We have white professionals too afraid to collaborate because they fear being labeled or displaced. We have Indians, coloreds, and Africans all second-guessing their place, measuring worth through the distorted mirrors of history's wounds. This is not progress, this is paralysis, and it bleeds billions of rand out of our economy every year. Let's look at it plainly. Bigotry costs South Africa in 4 deadly ways. 1. Lost productivity. When workplaces are divided by prejudice, collaboration dies. Ideas are dismissed, voices silenced, and talent wasted. According to a Deloitte inclusion study, diverse teams outperform others by over 35%. So imagine what our GDP could be if we truly worked as one. 1. Investment fear. Foreign investors are not just looking for low costs, they're looking for stability. When headlines scream racial tension, corruption, or ethnic discrimination, capital runs. And each time it does, jobs, taxes, and growth vanish with it. 1. Brain drain. Young South Africans, of all races, are leaving not only for money, but because they're tired of fighting invisible wars. They leave because they want merit, not politics. Talent that could rebuild our nation is instead building others. 1. Distrust. Every act of exclusion, every whispered slur, every unfair appointment undercuts the foundation of trust. And without trust, no economy can thrive, because business itself is nothing but trust in motion. You see, when a country divides itself, it can no longer multiply its wealth. Bigotry is the tax of a nation that refuses to mature. It's the tax we pay for our emotional laziness, our refusal to heal, our addiction to identity as currency. We cling to color, surname, and religion as if they were shields protecting us from failure. But in truth, they are cages. We decorate them with pride, but they are still cages. Bigotry feeds off ignorance, and ignorance is expensive. When you refuse to hire someone based on accent or surname, you don't just reject a person, you reject productivity, progress, and possibility. When you dismiss an idea because it comes from the other side, you don't just insult someone, you insult your own future. When you vote not for competence but for comfort, you don't just empower corruption, you weaken the economy you depend on. Look around you. South Africa is bleeding talent, wealth, and purpose. We produce some of the finest minds in Africa, yet our GDP growth limps behind nations with half our resources. Why? Because brilliance cannot bloom where bias still breathes. Because an economy cannot soar when its wings are clipped by prejudice. The tragedy is not that we are divided, it is that we have learned to live with division as if it were normal. as if it were somehow patriotic to choose sides. And yet, here lies the cruel irony. Bigotry feels good to the broken ego. It gives a false sense of control, a momentary illusion of superiority. But that satisfaction comes at a national price tag. It is the satisfaction that slows GDP growth, the satisfaction that keeps millions unemployed, the satisfaction that ensures your child will inherit the same problems you did, only deeper. We've convinced ourselves that we are victims of systems. But sometimes we are simply victims of our own smallness. Every act of bigotry, whether it's a racist joke, a biased hire, or a silent prejudice, is an act of national sabotage. We cannot complain of poverty while celebrating exclusion. We cannot cry for justice while practicing quiet injustice. We cannot expect prosperity while we mistrust the hands that could build it. And let us be clear, bigotry wears many colors. It is not only the white man who discriminates. It is not only the black man who excludes. It is not only the colored man who feels forgotten. It is all of us. Every South African who chooses bias over bridge building, fear over fairness, ego over empathy. Bigotry is the language of the insecure. It is the gospel of the small-minded. It is, in truth, a mild form of madness, a socially accepted mental illness that spreads through generations, costing us peace, innovation, and billions of rand. To cure it, we don't need new laws, we need new hearts. We need to unlearn superiority and rediscover shared humanity. We need leaders with vision, not vengeance, policies with purpose, not pandering. Imagine for a moment a South Africa unchained from bias, where investment flows freely because unity breeds confidence, where children are taught to build, not blame, where the marketplace rewards ideas, not identity, where your accent, your skin tone, or your surname is just flavor, not fate. That South Africa exists, not in some dream, but in the decision we make today. The truth is, our country's most dangerous criminals are not only those with guns and gangs. Some wear suits and sit in silence. Some carry hatred like heritage. Some destroy futures not with weapons, but with prejudice. The slowest form of national suicide is not war, it's bias. And the price tag is written in lost opportunity, unrealized dreams, and empty bank accounts. So what must we do? We must learn to challenge bigotry with wisdom, not wrath. To expose it with courage, not cruelty. To see it for what it truly is, a reflection of our national immaturity. A wound we have mistaken for identity. A comfort we cannot afford. Because no economy can heal where hearts remain infected. The greatest revolution South Africa will ever see will not be fought with weapons or protests, but with understanding, with a generation that refuses to inherit the prejudice of their parents, with young people who know that true power is not in dominance, but in dignity. So the next time you hear the language of division, pause. The next time you feel the pull of bias, breathe. Ask yourself, what do I gain by making someone smaller? And what does my country lose? The answer is simple: everything. We call ourselves the Rainbow Nation, but a rainbow only shines when there is both light and rain, truth and tears. We have shed enough tears. Now it is time to choose the light. Because in the end, bigotry is not only a moral failure, it is an economic crime. It is a thief wearing a friendly face. And the longer we allow it to live among us, the poorer we will all remain. The day we stop dividing each other is the day South Africa begins to multiply. Because unity is not a dream, it is an investment. And the return, my fellow South Africans, is everything we have ever prayed for. Please like, share, leave your thoughts in the comments section, and follow and subscribe, because together we can build a better South Africa.